If a man comes up to you and punches you in the face, do I immediately go to the man and say, I'm so sorry you got angered that much. I'm so sorry. You're fucking laying on the ground in a bloody mess. And I'm like, I'll get to you in a minute. But, he's in a bad place right now. He got really angry, right? We'd be appalled if that happened. Why was that so normalized in that situation? Hey, it's me, Erin. Thanks for joining us on the More Love podcast. Do not tell Rebecca, but this podcast is about empathy. She likes people to think she's dead inside, but the truth is she's a big-time feeler who has truly helped me uncover that empathy is my superpower. Oh, here she comes.
Hey, bestie.
Hi, love.
What are you doing?
Oh, just getting ready to host a podcast.
A podcast? About what?
Our life as best friends who are more like sisters.
Yay! I love us, and I can't wait to share our stories with the world.
Especially the ones that involve us pushing each other, right? To be our most authentic selves.
Oh, man. Okay.
The podcast must have just aired saying that we weren't doing the subscription service anymore because I had someone contact me and be like, no, how come? And then followed quickly by I really appreciate you guys knowing your boundaries and what you could do and what you couldn't do, right? Like, again, all of those like mutual feelings that come with the burden of empathy. So
that's funny.
I don't even know what's airing at what time anymore because we're so far ahead in the podcast, but that one must have just aired because people will send me random messages and I'll be like, what are they talking about?
Right, because for us, it was so long ago.
One was, here's a hint, teabag your eye. And I'm like, what?
Which one was that from?
Okay, that was the time I had the sty in my eye that they thought was shingles, right?
That's funny.
But like that completely out of context, I'm like, what?
Oh.
What?
Yeah, that's funny.
You teabag your eye.
Yeah.
Right. What does that mean?
That's funny. Oh my gosh.
So I know you never check our email for the More Love podcast,
Never.
But we got an email that is from this person, Ale Guravara.
Okay.
And it's to both of us.
Okay.
And says, I love the themes of empathy, connection, and personal growth that you explore on your podcast.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you, Al. We don't know Al, so that's exciting.
Great.
Someone that we don't know is listening to the podcast.
Love that.
And she said over the last 5 years, she developed a really big interest in empathy as a vital role in mental health. And she wrote a book called The Little Book of Empathy, which is a pocket-sized guide that redefines empathy as a powerful tool for healing, fostering understanding, and strengthening connections.
I love that.
So Al was giving us a free copy of, my God, this is our first free giveaway.
Free gift?
We got a
the borderline sponsor.
We got a sponsor. we got a free gift.
Love that.
Right?
For our listeners?
So I went on and got it. And here it is.
That.
Right here.
Oh my gosh, stop it. It's so cute. It looks totally like our branding.
I know. The Little Book of
that.
Empathy. So I had said to Al, oh my God, thank you so much. We really appreciate this. Thanks for thinking of us. We'll be sure to check it out and share our feedback on a future show. We appreciate you listening to the show. And thanks for connecting. She said, thanks so much, Rebecca.
You're so welcome, Al. Let me see that. That's adorable.
What, the email? Oh.
No, nothing.
I know. I mean, you just love that Al said, thanks so much.
That's adorable.
Alejandra. Ale for short. So this is really cute. And it's this cute little book. It's you can get it for free on Amazon. It's like this free little ebook that you can get. And
stop it with this branding.
It's adorable. So just read one random page in there.
Cleansing tears. It is okay to let your tears flow. Crying can be a healing process that cleanses both your soul and body. When you cry, your body releases chemicals that act as a natural relief, helping you feel better. Don't suppress your tears when you feel the need to cry. Tip: allow yourself to cry when you need to. It's a healthy way to express your feelings and facilitate healing.
Cute. There's like one there, like the definition of empathy. Where does it come from? Then there's like little tips and tricks. I think there's a couple.
It's a little bit of a workbook too.
It's pocket size.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It's fun size.
It's fun size.
Empathy isn't a cliche Hallmark statement or sentiment. It's true.
What's it say on the back there?
This?
Yeah.
Like the backpack? It says kindness, connection, and understanding.
Placed by the
Yeah.
Gideons.
It talks a little bit about empathy for your children and when you're giving them a hug, how that's the truest form. There's a quote from Brene Brown right in here. Freaking love Brene Brown. Empathy is, I'm here to feel with you. Sympathy is, I'm sorry to hear what you're going through. Compassion is, I see what you are going through and I want to do something to help you. Empathy does not require you to compromise your well-being to help those who cause you harm. It's about understanding, not shouldering unnecessary burdens. It means protecting your inner peace by setting healthy boundaries, taking care of yourself while managing difficult relationships with understanding, and ensuring your emotional well-being remains intact. Always remember that self-care is not an act of selfishness. Rather, it is an essential expression of love and respect for yourself.
Nice.
It's really sweet. So I wanted to show that here today. We will put that up on the Shit We Love page on our website if people want to go and just get their free ebook. And thank you, Al, for contacting us, sharing it, and then giving Rebecca credit for responding when that 100% didn't happen. It's totally fine. So what kind of hippie voo you got for us today?
Today is the King of Cups, and I'm pretty sure we've had this before because it's the whale.
Oh, I like
with
that.
With the
red solo
the
cup?
the beer pong cup.
Yep.
Yeah. So the whale's cool. The King of Cups is basically a black belt of emotional mastery, and he'd be more happy to take you under his instructive wing. Hire him as your personal Zen master and let him show you how to feel your feelings with maturity, stability, and care for others. Honestly, it might be more annoying to be around someone this perfect, but I can't stop visualizing your face.
When you said being around someone this perfect.
Right.
Thank you.
It might get annoying to be around someone this perfect, but see if you can take a page from his book and run with it. This sort of balance will come in handy the next time you need to go to the DMV. It's funny.
That's cute. I'm going to start us with a video today. Well, really, Scott is.
Okay.
But I found this video, and I cannot stop following this kid on Instagram.
Okay.
I love him so much. It's his delivery. It's his little voice.
How old is he?
He's got to be, I don't know.
Like little or like a teenager?
5 or 6.
Oh, he's little.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's this little guy. But as a segue into what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to start you with this adorable video.
I love it.
Quite that much. He has tiny muscles. Does he?
Dad.
Look at these whoppers. nearly the size of a mountain. Aren't they, Mommy?
Huge.
Build them!
Oh my god, they're big mountains. What about your daddy? He hasn't got any, does he?
No, I'm tiny. They're nearly up to here.
Does he need to do?
Needs to work out. I go to the gym every day.
Do you?
Yeah.
And how do you get to the gym?
My daddy drives me.
Oh,
I
right.
wake him up. Then he drives me over there. Then I lift the weights. I'm gonna go to the gym tomorrow. Before you wake up.
Sounds like my house.
Little Scottish lad.
I'm going to go
he's
to the gym
sweet.
tomorrow
Before you wake
up.
You're right.
Stop it. He has all these little videos where he's like talking to his sister and he's talking to his mom and like he just gives this advice and I can't with the accent and
know.
it's sweet little. I know you're right, Scott. He's probably like 4 or 5. He's little. He's a little guy.
Aw.
So I watched that and I thought, God, that's so interesting that this little dude, right, is like, feel my muscles. Feel how big my muscles are. They're bigger than my dad's, right? They're mountains. They're all these things. And then of course, I can't just take that at face value. I start to think about all the different stereotypes and social pressures that we put on men. And then I see on TV this episode of it was like Judge Judy, but it's a different woman who's doing it. It's a judge.
Okay.
Right. And it's a paternity test show, judgment thing. Like, again, like Judge Judy, but it's a paternity one.
Okay.
And this man is on the one side and believes that he is the father of this child. The mother has told him he's the father of this child, but somewhere along the way, he's been given some reason to believe that he might not be the father of this child. And so he is now bringing her to court, even though he does not want to. He wants to remain in a relationship with her, and he wants to continue to be the father of this child, but understandably wants to know for sure if he is the father. So you have this man on the one side, and you have the woman on the other side. And she's saying unequivocally, he is the father of this child. So she reads, the judge reads the results, and he is not the father. And this woman collapses onto the floor, is crying, is absolutely beside herself. She's screaming, no, 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 that can't be true, right? These people start coming to the aid of this woman. They're bending down. They're like getting on her level. They're like, it's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. And they pan the camera over to this man. And this man is standing here looking off into space, incredibly distraught, because he just found out that this child that he loves so much is not his child. And I have this moment where all I think is, no one is comforting that man right now. Not one person.
Yeah, why is
went
that?
over
Because
to
he's not
that
making a scene.
man and comforted him, supported him. The judge is, commenting on this woman and saying, like, Miss So-and-so, we now have an answer. It's okay. She's spending all this time talking to this woman, and then eventually comes around to the man and says, Mr. So-and-so, I bet this is so terrible for you to hear. How are you feeling? And he just stands there shocked and absolutely distraught. And it's in this moment that I came up with the topic of this show, which is essentially, are we doing men a disservice, and are we misunderstanding men, and have we been unfair to men?
Wow. This, I don't think this has anything to do with genders. That specific scene, she's just acting out of control crazy.
Your focus is on her.
No, I'm not focused. No, that's why the people were focused on her, because she was acting crazy. People should have said, well, you a hoe and that exposed. So you're an idiot. That you're.
That's actually, I agree. Well, there's a surprise. I'm surprised that they were doing that. Like, they should have went to him and been like, even if he wasn't freaking out, been like, dude,
in theory. Yeah. Like, holy crap, is she a liar?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
this feels so much bigger to me than that. This is not the only example that we have of times where we are not tending to the emotional needs of men, because they're either not showing their emotional needs, they're faking and hiding their emotional needs, or we're just assuming that they're completely fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And that comes down to whether or not we take them seriously about if they need to go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down seriously when we talk about the man cold. It comes down when we talk about...
what's the man cold?
Every single time a man gets a cold, it's almost like he lost his right arm.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep.
It comes down to something I experienced on Father's Day, where the tons and tons of posts on Mother's Day, not about, definitely about mothers, right? But specifically about subgroups of mothers. So mothers who have lost a child, mothers who have strained relationships with their own mothers, mothers who have had rainbow babies, mothers who, right, like all these different, like, lists of the different types of mom that exist. Happy Mother's Day, not just to your, moms that you expect to be supporting on Mother's Day, but let's make sure moms of fur babies, right? Let's make sure that we've encompassed all sorts of other types of moms. Then Father's Day comes, and I do see the Happy Father's Day to my father, Happy Father's Day to my father-in-law, Happy Father's Day too, right? But what I don't see is Happy Father's Day to the fathers whose wives or girlfriends left them. Happy Father's Day to men who are fathers to fur babies. Happy Father's Day to men who have lost a baby, right? I saw none of that.
Well, my guess is because of it's your algorithm. You're in tons of moms' Facebook groups. Everything in your algorithm is mom focused. Everything in my algorithm is dad focused. I work for a dad's group. I see that shit all the time.
So on Father's Day, you were seeing...
Oh, well, I don't know, but I see tremendous things fathers related. I'd have to go back and... I didn't hyper focus on that.
Yeah,
but I do see that stuff a lot.
What it is you're seeing about fathers, what you're seeing about men, what you're seeing about, right? Now... Specifically, for me, in the algorithm, it's always leadership. Yeah.
And you're the leader in your family. You're the leader. Yeah, it's definitely not. Well, I'm not going to say it's not emotional focused because it is, but it's different. But I think that the algorithms of these types of things are really kind of sad because it's forcing you into your interests. It's not exposing you to other
puts you in
things
your own rabbit hole.
Yes.
Fair, and that's true of all algorithms. But I'm curious if that content exists and it's not just being shown to me, if it exists far, far, far less than it exists for women.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's, right, so my overall feel on this is it really got me thinking about if we're doing a disservice to men or if we really are being unfair to men when we're like, you're a really shitty provider for your family. And then we are angry that the man doesn't have emotional capacity to be able to manage certain things. When I see it even young with my own son, who I really like to think I'm trying my best to raise in an emotionally supportive environment, and how that's gets beat out of him every time he plays a football game up the street. And every time that he, wants to have a moment where he will be walking into the grocery store, right? And I'll grab his arm, and you can tell he's completely comfortable with that because he likes showing those types of expressions of connection with me, but he's hyper aware of the fact that he's a 9-year-old kid in the Wegmans parking lot, right? Whereas little Aria up the street, she'll hold on to me. She'll hold on to my arm. We'll be, she zero concerns about showing expression of love and care and comfort and those types of things, right? I even notice I have a reaction to myself and the feelings that come up for me when I talk about unfairness to men, right?
Ooh, in what way?
I feel like I immediately want to combat that with, don't hear me say men are saints and wonderful and great at everything and we've just been giving them an unfair shake, right? I immediately have this reaction that's like, I hate myself qualities of men pretty well, right? Like there's some things, but I really wanted to make space in this conversation to entertain what may be us unfairly setting men up in environments and situations where they can't be appropriately supportive or haven't been appropriately supported. And then instead of giving them the space to get there, we just dog on them all the time. Again, as soon as I say that, I'm immediately thinking of the man cold, and I'm like, it's freaking annoying and not okay, and you probably should get that shit in check, right? But I really don't want to go there. I really want to make the space for, have we not done a service to men over the last however many years?
What do you mean we? Like who's we? Are you talking about society?
Society,
you personally?
women,
Mothers.
I mean, it's
mothers.
everything you're describing is it's so big and it goes back so far. I've noticed that there is a trend that's been beginning for a while. That's kind of, it's going to take a while to get there, but you take about the whole the man card thing. Oh, you gotta take away your man card. Like that goes back. I mean, think about it. I'm not a big sports guy. I watch football. Like I watched the end of the Bills game yesterday and I enjoyed it, but I don't seek out football. I don't seek out sports. It's just not what I do. I would rather watch a movie that I've seen 100 times than watch a sports game. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'm into it. I'm like, I'm going to watch football today because that's what I feel like doing.
Mm-hmm. That's my husband. My husband's not into that either, but he'll watch. Like he watched football yesterday, probably because it's new, and then it'll be over with.
Right. I like watching a football game just because I like the sport of football to a certain extent. But
are you saying that society says you're not a man if you don't like football or sports?
If you're a dude and you're not completely absorbed in sports for 10 months out of the year, you're
less of a man.
Oh. Mm-hmm. And I've noticed that's kind of decreasing. It was way worse when I was in my 20s. Now it's a little bit less, and I think and it could just be my own perception of me not giving a shit
right.
what people think, because I am very much secure in my manhood. I know exactly who I am. I know exactly what I like, and I know the kind of person I am. Mm-hmm. There was a time where I wasn't, where I was very insecure, and then, I still have my own insecurities, as we all do, but that growing up with that, and I come from, I don't want to say that I come from a real alpha male type of family, because it's not that bad, but my father and my older brothers fit into that category of sport, all about football, all about going fishing, all about, all this kind of stuff, like real man stuff, They got their boats and they got their campers, and I want those toys too. I want those toys too, but I just can't fucking afford them, unlike them. I would love to have that stuff, but that's kind of all wrapped up in that man identity, where I was more into tech. I was more, like you call a dude, hey, can you come over and help me frame out this wall and hang some drywall? Can you come help me
fix my computer?
Network
it's hot
my
too.
computers?
It's hot too. You know what's not hot? A guy coming up to you being like, you want to talk about it? Not hot. Not hot.
Now, are you saying that literally it's not hot, or are you saying
I'm saying to me, that's not hot.
What she means when she says not hot is it makes her highly uncomfortable, but it's the one thing she seeks more than anything in the world in any type of romantic relationship is someone to see her
certain capacities
at that level.
In certain
That's
capacities.
what she really means. So again,
in certain capacities, if it's all the time, no.
What?
You don't want to talk about it all the time.
No.
You do not.
The movie Bedazzled with Brendan Fraser and Elizabeth Hurley. Mm-mm. Check out that movie. It's quick. Basically, Elizabeth Hurley is the devil, right? Oh. And Brendan Fraser is a guy who makes a deal with the devil and wishes for things. And whenever she grants the wish, it's always to the extreme of whatever the wish is. Like he's like, I want to be a man's man, and then he becomes like this ridiculous, like, it's just funny. There's always a twist at the end of each one of these wishes. Okay. And he's like, I want to be sensitive and da-da-da. And so the character that she creates for him is like, he's like ridiculous. He's sitting on the beach and he can't stop crying because of the sunset.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't stop it. He's getting pissed off. And so it's like the extreme, everybody wants that person who checks all the boxes, and nobody checks all the boxes.
But there has to be a balance.
Oh, of course. I
think maybe what you're trying to hint at is how can we have more, not you, Scott, you, Aaron, how can we have more of a balanced experience in all humans, maybe?
No, I see where the two of you and your rants could get there. But what I mean, what I'm trying to say is...
wow, I thought I was contributing to the conversation.
I don't think...
It's a rant.
I don't think that we have... I don't think we're creating enough space to really understand the experience of men for who men are. I think we are very quick to, again, in that situation of the judge situation, we're just immediately going to assume, all right, well, that dad, doesn't need any support or doesn't need to be checked in on or whatever because he seems to be all right. And yeah, well, good for you, man. Now you don't have to pay child support, right? Like we go immediately there. Where's the part of us that's like, this man just found out that child's not his.
I don't know why you're assuming that that's where everybody went because nobody physically came over to him.
Everyone in this show immediately tended to this woman for ridiculous amounts of time.
Because she was acting crazy.
I don't care what she was doing. Okay. It doesn't matter to me what she's doing. We've in that case tended to the woman and we've tended to the fact that she's throwing a fit on the floor or whatever the hell she's doing. Mm-hmm. She caused harm to this individual and we didn't look at the person who was harmed. We went immediately in that case to the person who caused the harm. In what other scenarios do we do that? If a man comes up to you and punches you in the face, do I immediately go to the man and say, I'm so sorry you got angered that much. I'm so sorry. You're fucking laying on the ground in a bloody mess. And I'm like, I'll get to you in a minute. But he's in a bad place right now. He got really angry, right? We'd be appalled if that happened. Why was that so normalized in that situation? It felt very normal. It felt completely normal that in this situation, this man needs to stand there and tend to it himself because we had to just make sure that this woman was okay first.
I feel like we're playing role reversal. And here's my question. Were the people who were tending to her family members that were
it was the judge. It was who's the guy, the guy in the
bailiff.
Oh, the bailiff.
Right?
Okay.
And it was there was somebody else. Maybe that person was a family member. But it was, and then like the people that were like, that were sitting in the audience that were like, oh, not for him, for her. Oh my God, it's so sad. She just found out that he is not the father. Oh my, and I'm having this reaction where I'm like.
And you know for sure that the faces on the audience members were for her, not for him.
They only cameraed in on her, and these people were literally like leaning over the bar thing.
That's how they cut it together. That's how they want you to.
True. I mean, again, TV is a terrible.
Yeah,
a terrible thing to dissect.
Let's talk about real life. That and I don't mean to belittle what you're saying, but I take anything from TV with a grain of salt because it's
shot from a point of view.
It's one person's point of view.
That's right.
You know,
and
like
what they want you to experience.
The producer wanted to say that, like, let's make everybody look like they're going after. I mean, could be.
Right. We don't know. But if it was live.
But
I'm confused. I'm really confused. No one tended to this man
that they showed on TV. We don't know that to be true.
They can cut things together like you would not believe. I'm telling you.
And those people bending over might have actually been bending. I don't know. I have a lot of questions. That's what I mean. I feel like we're in a role reversal because I have a lot of questions. I do not take any of that for face value. None of it.
Okay.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
I'm not either, but
because I didn't see it.
I have questions.
So it's very possible that
because immediately my stomach when you told the story, I wanted to hug the man. I'm like, oh my God, that's horrible.
That's what I mean.
Because he thought and then she's causing a scene because she got caught.
Do you think that's what people's reaction would be out in real life?
Yeah.
They'd go over to the man.
I don't know if they would physically go over to him, but I think that they would absolutely have empathy and
if she started
feel terrible
if she
for
started
him.
crying and shit. It'd be like, yeah, that's right.
Well, you deserve it.
Yeah, exactly.
You caused this, dude.
I don't feel bad for you at all, bitch.
Yeah, that's how I felt. Yeah.
That's how I felt. That isn't what was portrayed. Yeah. So
right.
I don't want to get caught in the details of what was portrayed. What I'm trying to say is I don't think we make enough space for men to be able to have the emotions that they need to have and for us to be able to tend to what it is they're going through because we constantly push it off.
Absolutely.
So if my
100%.
husband is going to say that he has a cold, I'm immediately going to, here we go, cancel all the plans. Man can't come out of the room for 48 hours because he's got the sniffles. Right? I'm not making any space for the fact that he's having a reaction to the fact that he doesn't feel well. He actually has to be real hella not feeling well in order for him to get attention from me. Right? Maybe a trained response on his part, right? To be fair, right? The other example I'm talking about is if he gets physically injured, right? I'm more apt to be like, come on, you hit your head on the door.
But is that because it's your husband? I don't think you have that reaction to men as a community.
No, but
or like a
societally-
blanket. I don't think you feel that way about. I think that's just your personal experience with him in particular.
If Philip had a cold, he was like, oh, I was like, oh, my sinuses are really, really bad. I wouldn't be like, I'm really sorry about that, Philip. Is there anything I can do, to help you or take anything off your plate? I'd be like, oh, your sinuses are bad. Sorry about your freaking sinuses.
you sound like-
so far, let me tell you what I've been through. It's that. It's the nothing you
Pissing
can
contest?
do is ever going to make up for the fact that I feel whatever. Right. It's like in that situation with the guy who found out the kid wasn't his. It's like, oh, that's really bad. I feel really sad about that. And I'm sorry that happened to you. But you wonder how many freaking deadbeat dads there are in this world and moms that have to make up for it. It's that. It's like this interesting imbalance that comes about that I think part of us not making space for men in their feelings is because there's been injuries from men for so long, and it's very hard to make the space to open up the door to be kind and compassionate and caring to these men when there's been harm done in some way, right? But I think that is harder on men than it is on women. I think we're more apt to be like, if you are struggling with something or you're not feeling well, I'm immediately like, oh, she real down and out because she doesn't complain about anything, right? And then I'm coming over and I'm trying to fix that situation for you. Or you need childcare for some reason, right? I might be like, to the man, I might be like, oh, sorry, is your life interrupted because you actually have to watch your freaking children? Whereas for you, I'm like, you need to go get your hair done? Absolutely. Why don't you take a minute to yourself? I'll watch the kids.
So, you're the psychologist in the group or whatever, but
You're the professional.
you're the doctor. But just fly on the wall sounds like you got a chip on your shoulder about something. Like it sounds like you've been mistreated, and so now you're returning that. Like that's how you see it.
I think society as a whole is doing that to men, and I have some concerns about that.
No, when Kelly and I first got married, up until about last week, the "suck it up, Sally" was the quote that she used to like to say the most, and it was always "suck it up." It was always "suck it up," and there was no quarter for me to actually have a legitimate problem that needed to be dealt with. It was always like, be a man. Suck it up. You can get through this. Big deal. Like, oh, you're depressed? Suck it up. Deal with it. People have problems.
I think that's common.
And I agree. That is common. And it took many years of us growing apart and then realizing that we didn't like the fact that we were growing apart, and Kelly deciding that she was part of the problem and realizing where she comes from and realizing that her dad is just like that, the strong, silent type that he could, you could cut off part of his arm and he'd be like, no, I'm fine. It's like, no, you cannot, it's okay for you to not be fine. And it's okay for you to ask for help. But,
and if she had made space for that, instead of saying, suck it up, Sally, right? She's not making space for that, one, because of generational experiences. Two, she might have that same chip on her shoulder that I think a lot of women do, right? Three, I do think that there's this fear that's like, if I if I do allow you space to express your depression to me, I'm a little nervous about maybe that won't be hot anymore. Maybe that won't be like a feeling I know how to handle anymore. So as long as I just shove it away and push it down, then I don't have to deal with the fact that you might become, a little too soft from me, and then I'm not going to see you in the same way, and then we're going to have an issue, right?
And a lot of it comes from the sort of, like you mentioned, multi-generational, the idea of being mothered by your wife, by your wife taking care of you like a mother would take care of a son. And that's where the line gets real weird, because you don't want to do that. You don't want to have that maternal instinct with your spouse. Because it's weird, And so drawing that line is really difficult, but it's all in your head. It's all just like head garbage.
From both perspectives. So, women will say, I don't want to mother my husband, but then take great pride in making his lunch every day and want to make sure that he's taken care of. And I've given you what you need for the day. And I've packed you a healthy lunch. I'm using that as an example. That's just one of many, right? Because I'm also doing that for my kid. And then men, I think, tend to be quick to allow that to happen because they're like, well, great. I love the feeling of feeling cared for. And I feel like I have a lot on my plate. And that's one less thing that I have to do, right? Where that becomes imbalanced a lot of time. And I think this is where some of that resentment, chip on the shoulder, whatever comes in that doesn't allow us to have that space for men, is when I'm making your lunch and doing 17 other things during the day. I'm taking care of the kids. I'm taking care of the finances. I'm making sure that our vacations are all taken care of. I'm making sure that your family's Christmas presents are being purchased, right? All of these things that need to happen. Then the tables start to get turned, and now I have a whole lot less compassion for the fact that you have a sinus problem or a man cold, right?
Is there a lack of appreciation for those things that you do for the family? Is that the root of it? Like, you don't feel appreciated? You don't feel like you're given any kind of thanks? Or
would you say appreciation and acknowledgement are the same thing? When I say acknowledgement,
you can acknowledge something without appreciating it. But for me, they come hand in hand. With my acknowledgement, I also show appreciation, because I understand I was a stay-at-home dad for quite a few years with 3 kids in diapers. So I know what it's like when mothers talk about, I'm like, stay-at-home mom or being a housewife or whatever. That's the hardest job in the world. I've been there. I've done that, where my wife was the breadwinner and I had to deal with everything. I went grocery shopping. I did the cooking. I did everything around the house as well. Plus took the kids to school, took them to the doctor, took them to the dentist. I was 100% in their lives and she was not. And so I've been there. I know what it's like. So having been on both sides, then I'm like, when I tell Kelly all the time, I'm like, you are, because she's the toughest son of a bitch I've ever met. She just had knee surgery last Friday. She's back to work today. And she's like, but here's the thing. She's kind of like her father. So she's like, I'm fine. I'm like, it's okay to be not fine. Because what are you going to do? You're walking on your knee that's not healed yet. You're going to make it worse. And where is that for the rest of us? She holds the family together. I freely admit that. She does everything. If she's not able to do that, then we're nowhere, because I can't pay the bills with this business. I pay the business bills and buy groceries. That's it.
Yeah.
That's my contribution to the family. I mean, besides other stuff, but financial.
Do you think acknowledgement and appreciation are the same?
No. For me, they are, because words of affirmation is my love language, but acknowledging that I've done something doesn't mean anybody cares or values it.
Right.
Just same with me. Like Philip will say, our outside home of the home, the yard and stuff would not look like this if I didn't do it. I'm like, you're right. I'm acknowledging that. Do I appreciate it? Not really. I could care less.
Really?
Right. Because in my mind, there are more priorities that need to happen that don't or that are half-assed or get overlooked because he spends his time doing that because that's his priority. So, you know, I acknowledge that you do it. Thank you. But we don't need it. It's not necessary in my mind.
You know, my in-laws live on our block. They live 4 houses down. And trust me, when my yard starts to look bad,
Oh, they'll let you know?
I hear about it.
Sure.
My mother-in-law would be like,
But again, this is generational stuff.
lawn?
Right. Or that's the question. That's really a statement.
yeah, you know, I've been working 80 hours this week. Sure, let me mow the lawn.
There you go.
Tonight.
There you go.
9 o'clock.
Right. And that's how I feel, right?
Yeah, the priorities, and it's a tough thing to navigate.
And it depends on where for me, it always comes back to values. Where are your values rooted? How aligned are you on your values? And have you defined your roles in your family?
I value my garden.
Great.
No, I don't.
Interesting.
Until we have to weed it, then we don't value it anymore.
I don't think that I don't think anyone ever comes close to acknowledging my level of contribution because I don't think anyone understands it to the depth that I feel it. And so everything always just feels superficial.
Which part? The acknowledgement? Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I don't care about the appreciation. The appreciation usually comes off as fake to me.
Okay.
The acknowledgement, I don't think ever really feels like a true acknowledgement because I don't think that it is seen at the depth at which it feels to me like I've contributed, if that makes sense.
What would it take?
I would think Philip would agree with you. Very much so.
And he and I are similar in a lot of ways in this capacity.
But I also feel that way from my lens. Because he'll say to me every day, could you just do something around here? And I just look at him and I'm like, are you for real? He's like, I just need your help. And I think to myself, you motherfucker. What? You need me to hold your hand while you're fucking lawn mowing? Like, what do you need from me?
Right. And what are you not seeing that I am doing to keep it
right? And then he'll say, and so when I say that, he's like, well, I didn't say you don't do anything. I just need your help because these things haven't gotten done. I'm like, yeah, those are the things at the end of the list that I didn't have time for today, and they'll happen at another time.
But here's the long list of things that I did do. Tell me what you would have wanted me to have taken off the list.
And he'll say, nothing gets taken off the list.
Right.
It all needs to get done. And I'll say,
impossible.
That's not how it works.
Right. How long you been married?
Almost 20 years.
Really?
So it's, again, and this is a daily conversation. Nothing changes. Nothing. It is.
You got to go to counseling.
Yeah, very aware.
However, does that impact your ability to then have compassion for him when he gets upset that he lost, No,
because none of it's connected.
It's not connected.
No.
What does that mean?
None of that is connected. None of that. I don't hold grudges. I'm not a resentful person. When we have that conversation, the conversation happens and we move on, and that's why the conversation happens every single day, because we both are like over it. We say what we have to say and then we move along.
Right.
There is that stuff is not brought into.
So when he loses his credit card, right? Can't find it. You're not bringing anything into that conversation. You just genuinely don't care that he can't find his credit card because it's not your problem.
Oh no, I help him find the credit card. I'm like, oh, okay, let's go through the steps. Where do we need to find it?
Okay, what if he lost his vape? Don't care? Or you'd help him find that too?
I'd either help him find it or say, just go buy another one. I'd rather you not talk about it. Just go find another one. Or buy another one.
So do you feel you do make space for his emotional needs?
Yes, but he doesn't want to.
You make space for his emotional needs, but he doesn't want to go there.
Correct. So great example is this new job that he got. He has a lot of feelings about it. And it's funny because I'll ask questions or I'll give him an opportunity to talk about it. But then he decides to steer the conversation in a different direction because that makes him uncomfortable. He doesn't want to talk about it. But absolutely, I'll say, do you think this is connected to blah, 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 blah? And he'll be like, what are you talking about? He doesn't want to go there, which is very helpful in our relationship because neither do I at the end of the day.
Right.
But I will give you space to do it. And then I'll say, what do you need from me? Do you want me just to listen to you? Do you want me to give you advice? What do you need? And usually he just wants to talk. He just wants to vocalize things.
Yeah.
Not
he doesn't want help or support. He just wants to say it out loud.
He just wants to repeat the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I just find myself aware of, I'm feeling a little bit bad for men more than I typically do. Maybe that's what it comes down to for me. Again, I say that and then I get mad at myself for saying that, right? But I'm feeling badly that I personally may not be giving as much credence to the experience of men. So a good example would be, I did post that on my post for Father's Day. And I was like, come in peace, but just a quick question. Is anyone else experiencing this? And a few men responded and said, thanks for saying that because
they experienced it too.
Because I agree with you. That isn't a part of my experience, right? Or men were liking the post, right? And so then I was like, okay, so there is something here because these men are feeling seen. They almost need, I don't know, like a woman to acknowledge it or speak up for it because they themselves aren't in a place where they can say that yet because maybe it takes away their man card to say it, right? Like I don't want to, again, I have such conflicting feelings about this. I don't want to come over here being an advocate for men, right?
Why?
Because
I'm definitely an advocate for men.
You are.
I work for a men's group. Absolutely an advocate for men.
I'm not.
That's fine.
I'm not, but I think
Well, it's good to know who our friends are.
I think I will want to make space to try and be more supportive or understanding.
But that makes no sense when you say you're not an advocate for men because you're raising a son to not align with the way that society treats, views, acts,
so that would be
whatever.
An advocate of
men.
Of men.
Is it
a good man?
I don't have a son, so it's really.
Am I just an advocate for the future of men? Right? Like,
are you afraid? No, you know what?
totally fine to
I'm gonna say it. She's afraid that she's gonna come across as a non-feminist.
I don't know if I identify as a feminist to begin with.
Are you afraid that by saying you're an advocate for men, that because you're so literal and words matter, that somebody might hear
that I'm anti-women?
Not anti, but not, you know what I mean? Like something that feels different.
I'm not worried someone might think that. I'm worried that I feel that for myself.
Okay.
I worry that if I am, like here I am trying to make space for men to be better men, that I'm somehow hurting myself and other women I care about in the process.
That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean.
So like, but I don't care what people think about that. I'm not like, oh no, someone's going to call me out for whatever.
But why supporting men, why saying or feeling that you can support men changes anything you feel about supporting or loving women?
Yeah.
Why does that make it one or the other?
That's, I think, the topic of the show is I think for whatever reason they are connected. And I don't know if they're connected just for me, if they're connected for other women, if they're connected.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because they're not connected for me at all.
Right. Interesting.
At all. That's why when we talk about gender roles, I do not have these feelings about it because they're not connected.
Interesting. And they are connected for me in some way that I don't. And so I'm thinking about whatever that meme is. That's the meme.
The meme, yeah.
Like equity is not a pie. More rights for me doesn't mean less rights for you or whatever it is.
Or just because You might cry as a man, you might cry at a movie, doesn't mean you lose your man card. Like,
or is supporting men and helping them be better versions of themselves also supporting women?
yes.
I think so.
Right. I don't know how I don't
I've
know.
heard you say that so many times about why you choose to raise your son the way you are.
Yes, it's very different for me with Carter. I don't know why, but I feel like that's something that I have control over. Illusion of control, right? I feel like I have control over that, and that is my legacy that I am passing on to this world, is as emotionally available, sound, empathic, and aware of his surroundings man as can possibly be based in his given abilities. I feel
Right.
like that is
So that's
the best. And who I don't know, right? Well, I hope that will impact plenty of people.
great for
right?
the man or woman that he ends up with.
Exactly.
It's more the current existing men that are in the world that trigger that response to me of
I also
wanting to make that space.
I also feel strongly that it's because of who is in your privy. I think if you were to witness, I mean, you did. You came to this men's group and you saw things and you experienced things. I see the aftermath. I see the changes that happen in these people's lives because we are connected on social media and they share these stories, and a lot of these men have their own businesses and then they take what they learn and they offshoot it and they do whatever. So I'm constantly surrounded by all of that. Your experience with a lot of men is what you call white men in positions of power. And that is not my experience at all, because I left that world and wasn't trying to break that glass ceiling. So I think that that's where
that frame of reference is very different.
Very, very
I don't
different.
have a lot of examples of men with any part of an EQ and ability to be able to manage the emotionality of their children, their spouse, and run a business at the same time.
Correct. And that is the core epitome of this group of 250 men, what they do on the daily. So it's very different for me. And I also didn't grow up with a dad. I grew up with all women in my life. The only man in my life is my husband. That's it. I also have girl children. So and Philip is very feminine in a lot of ways. There's just, it's very different experience than maybe your surroundings or what you have gone through in your life. So that might just be it.
I do think that's a very important part of the conversation, because if I was doing what you are doing day in and day out
all the time,
maybe I feel that we are making space for care for men constantly. And maybe in that courtroom, I would have seen a very different situation if there were men from the front row dads who showed up and saw this man and really brought him into their community. That's just not my experience or my purview.
Makes so much sense. And I hope, specifically because you're raising your son to be a specific kind of person, that you provide more of, when you look at your surroundings, you need to put him in those surroundings. Otherwise, it's going to be a constant lesson. He's not going to find a community, and then he's going to feel that internal battle.
Yeah. Yes. I see it all the time. Kelly up the street and I joke about it. We're like, Bro Carter just came out. He even flexes his voice. He's like, what are we doing today? You know? And I'm like, who just showed up? What that, right? It is more of a internal battle. And this is for a kid who's typically 9 and trying to figure out, how do I fit in with the rest of my surroundings, right? But that is such a great point, that then surroundings matter, because who he is fitting in with, if he's going to the front row kids group,
correct,
right? Or if he's going to soccer camp that is with a whole bunch of jock kids from, wherever.
Right. Exactly.
That environment matters, right?
Because it's ultimately going to depict how he surrounds himself when he gets older.
Yes. And who he chooses to be around. And I'm very aware right now that the energy he chooses to be around is dysfunctional high energetic, not making good choices, fun energy. His ADHD draws him to that like a moth to a flame.
That will not change. That's
Great.
going to be really...
That's great.
Think about it.
I'm trying to beat it out of him now.
You can't. You're drawn to what you...
Oh, tell me about that. I have you in my life. I have Mark in my life. I have Carter in my life. I have Scott in my life. I have Morgan in my life. I have Alex in my life. I have all these people in my life who all have ADHD diagnoses. And I'm constantly looking around like, what the hell is going on? Mm-hmm. So tell me more about how we pick our surroundings.
But I just mean as a kid, like even as an adult, you are drawn to what makes you feel good or excited.
I know. I'm trying to beat it right out of him.
Even if it's not the best decision.
No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah, I know. And so it takes that conscious effort to make the change, and change is hard.
Mm-hmm. Or to put some boundaries around being able to make those choices, but also maybe we don't have 16 people like that in our life. Maybe we have 3, right? Or maybe we
can only handle so much.
Maybe we're aware of our own internal experience, even though other people might get ramped up, right? How do we still stay true to ourselves, even though, right? Like you might do party on party people in the Yale Library,
right?
But that doesn't mean I'm squatting down.
That's right.
Doing the thing at the same time.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So
absolutely. Choices matter.
All right. My affirmation card. I know that my journey will have highs and lows. I am aiming for progress.
Okay.
Progress for men.
That's it.
Progress for men, everyone.
I loved that.
Me too. Isn't empathy amazing?
Well, we're amazing. I don't know about all this empathy stuff.
That's fine. I accept you wherever you are.
Oh, God.
I love you.
I love you too.
And if you love us, please like and subscribe to More Love, the Power of Empathy podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
See you next time.